want to introduce the co-builders as well and just quickly talk about some concepts and some things we're going to be working on. So the co-builders, I'm Michael Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of the co-builders. The co-builders is a technology company. And our product currently is what you have on the screen. It's a social media platform that allows people to raise funds for projects, to sell services or products, right? And when I say sell services or products, it could be an idea that you're finding an investor for. When you put your idea on this platform, you're likely going to be connected, right? So for instance, you see my screen, these are some, I think some microphones need to be muted. I'm just going to mute some microphones. Sorry, guys. All right, so on the screen, you can see our platform. So this is where you come about and post projects, right? When you post your projects, the way we are set up, people who have signed up, right, to be interested in the kind of project you are posting will connect with you right away, and you can get donation, you can get buyers for your products. The other thing you can do on this platform is to hire freelancers, right? Hire people to work for you or to collaborate with you on an idea you're working on. For instance, in the Build Connections page, right, just off the top, these are the people who have joined so far. You have Moji, Solar, News Editor. So if you're looking for that actual skill, right, this is a platform you can also come to connect with the right people and collaborate around ideas and products. So try it out. To sign up, you go to cobuilders.com, and I'm gonna post that in the chat now. I'm gonna do that. You can check it out. If you just joined, you can mute your mic so that we don't get that feedback. I think we're getting some feedback. Hold on. All right, thank you so much. So you can register on the platform and using it. It's free, but it's a platform different from other platforms because what we're focusing on this platform is actually ideas, innovation, collaboration with investors and stuff like that. So try it out. Now, last week when we sent out an email for the Innovators Award competition, I still want to emphasize that everything we're doing, all this workshop, the end goal is to find an idea among the people who are on this call right now, right? Come up with an idea, an innovative idea that is both impactful and profitable. And the co-builders is putting 200,000 Naira award behind the idea that actually meets the mark, right? So we sent out this note last week, right? So these are the steps you need to take. You need to sign up because your project is going to be posted here. And the reason we want you to post the project on our platform is, number one, it gives you the right exposure as well to people. And since we are looking for one person, if your idea is not even the winning idea, that doesn't stop you from actually getting exposure to potential investors, right? To look into that idea and connect with you. So I'm going to share this link as well. And after this event, we're going to send a follow-up email just for you to know. Now, anyone on this call, anyone in this training, in this workshop can participate, right? But make sure you read all the instructions. And we know some of you have already signed up telling us about your interest. Make sure you read all the instructions to sign up, begin thinking like innovators, and look at this infographic to know how your idea will be assessed. And then we give some recommendations. One of the recommendations is for you to use one of the features on our platform, which is called InfoSource. InfoSource is a platform is our blog, right? But the design around this blog is actually that content is organized into packages, into categories, so that you are not just reading news all over the place. For instance, if you want to read business news, you click on the business category and you're going to have a tile of recent news around business specifically, right? if you're looking for inspiration, right, and you're looking for ideas, then you click on ideas, and then you see tiles, you know, that gives you a lot of information about ideas, and that's all you are going to get. So use InfoSource, right, to get ideas and to get inspiration for any idea you come with for the Innovations Award. So that is that. At this point, and this is 9:14, we have 6 minutes before the first speaker comes. And I would like to introduce the speakers for those of you just joining. So we have two really versed speakers on the call today. We have Bosede Olushola Obasa. She's the CEO and lead facilitator of Royal Character Academy, right? And we're glad to have her on the platform. She has a wealth of experience in the media industry. She's been a journalist. She's moved through the ranks from a writer to the top of the ladder. And right now she has designed this initiative, you know, where she actually shapes people up with the right character to become leaders in their industry, to become, you know, strong people in their fields. And I think we need people like her, even in these times, right, when there's the struggle between the diversity among people. Even though we need to work together, a lot of forces is pulling us apart. And I think emotional intelligence is going to win at the end of the day. You know, people are able to go past these differences, and that's what she's going to be focusing on today. Bosede Olushola Obasa, we're happy to have you. If you want to say hi to the audience, tell us more about Royal Character Academy, please do so. Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And the other person here is a good friend of mine. You don't know what it took to actually get Nadar here. I'm sure after this event, Nadar has about 10 other sessions he has to work with. This is a man who sprang up on LinkedIn, and he carried the burden, especially during the pandemic, even before the pandemic, but he carried the burden on himself, right, to begin to support people in terms of emotional capabilities and mental capabilities to withstand this time. And, you know, even though people are getting laid off, through his presentations and his talks, a lot of people are getting jobs now just by listening to him and, you know, taking time to pause and apply the principles he's sharing to themselves. And they're not just getting jobs, right? They're getting jobs with top companies like Apple and stuff. So he meets with a lot of people in the with experience in all these areas, and that's why I said sign up. I think he shared this link. Connect with them. He'll know you are from this platform. I know a lot of people are always, you know, moving back from connecting, but he'll know you're on this platform, and you will be glad you did. I would just say that. So Nadar Mawali is an engineer, and he's a lot of things beyond an engineer. He's an engineer. He's a mental and emotional expert as well, and he's a business leader, and he's the founder and CEO of Engineer Your Mission. So Nadar Mowahi, I should pronounce it right. Nadar Mowahi, we are glad to have you on this platform, and if you just want to come up and say hi to the audience.
Hello to everyone. Thanks for having me, Michael. I'm looking forward to listening to Bosede's presentation, and I've got a few nice slides to go through, and hopefully I can encourage everyone to pay more attention, you know, consciously to their mental health.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Quickly, before we bring the first speaker up, who's going to be Bosede Olushola Obasa, is Dan Alabi on the call? Dan Alabi, are you on the call? If you're on the call, please come off mute and say hi. We have something for you. Daniel Alabi? No. Daniel Alabi is not on the call. When he joins, we'll try to check in again and reach out to him. And we need to do something special for him as a member. So now that we have everybody, we're gonna take a quick virtual selfie. So if you want to put on your best smiling face right now, we're going to take a quick selfie on the screen. Yeah, put that smile, and there you go. Yeah, I know it's hard for people to hold a smile for too long because your mouth starts hurting and you're like, man, take this picture. So we took one real quick. take another one later in case this one is not good. So right now we go into the we're going to the first speech, and Bosede Olushola Obasa, the floor is yours. I have your presentation queued.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to appreciate the privilege to be here and to share a few thoughts. And it's going to be a practical class because this is about change and innovation. I intend to illustrate with my stories from time to time, and it has to do with transition from being a print journalist to becoming an entrepreneur. My heart is with every journalist, whether print or broadcast, that have had to lose their jobs to COVID-19 on account of downsizing and the rest of them, or struggles of media houses to keep things up. Much as that's true, I intend today to challenge certain mindsets that have made people in Africa and Nigeria precisely to be a bit laid back. I'm going to be talking about attitudes, mindsets, and looking at how being alert when it has to do with your work mindset can eventually avoid becoming one of those I'll be asked to go. No matter how pressed an organization is to lay people off, there are usually people who are too useful to be to be asked to go. They can't be laid off. Why? Because of value. So I'm going to be doing some shifts in our mindset as far as work is concerned, and seeing that you become so useful, your employer doesn't want to discard with you. But if for any reason or based on some other reasons you are asked to go, you will be so good you can actually start live, hitting the ground running, like practically. So that's going to be the turn of events today. And I'm so excited to be here. So I'll be looking at mental alertness and change and innovation. And I'm glad about talking about innovation, particularly because we have an innovation award coming up. So I hope this serves to create all the rave that we need around, helping us find media people who are willing to win the prizes that have been outlined. All right, so that will be my opening. A few things that you'll be going with from here today, looking at workshop takeaways, will include that you get to know basic things about mental alertness, mental attitude, and mindsets. I do plenty of talk around mindset because I know that even the item of character itself has plenty to do with your attitudes. And attitudes are usually fueled by mindsets, the things you believe, the way you feel about things, and all whatnot. So not everyone who lost their job in the media houses lost them because the media houses could not pay them anymore. They must have looked at the ranks and look at those who are disposable, who are dispensable. And then with that, they may have decided, okay, this goes, that goes. So how do you ensure that? And okay, here is another thought that I have. This might be a workshop put together to kind of remedy a situation. But I'd rather we prepare not to have to remedy a situation. What do I mean by that? If we have people working with the right mindsets, we may never come to points where you get to a bridge that you cannot cross. So today I'll begin by helping us see basic things about mindset, and then what are the work mindsets that we need to know, the shifts we need to experience when it comes to work mindset, and how that ends a professional, a secured future. Because at the end of the day, this is all about securing your future. And then if you have lost it, I also have a word of encouragement for you, a few slides here to say to you that there are traits that can help you rise again, go beyond the survival level, and actually gain recovery. So our key terms for today will therefore be alertness, mental alertness, attitudes, change, and innovations. So I'll come in and out of all of those as I go on. Yeah, I hope I'm not so much ahead of you, Michael. So right now, I'm on my slide that says, what is mental alertness? Just for us to be able to get a hold on what it is. What is mental alertness? And it's a process. Interestingly, definition.net describes it in two ways. It describes it first as the process of paying close and continuous attention to something, and also said it's a state of readiness. So it's a mindset, it's a process, and it's also a state. To the point that it's a state, it's a mindset, and the fact that it's a process shows that it's a mindset that must be held continuously and progressively. So alertness, therefore, is a state of paying close and continuous attention, being watchful, being prompt to meet danger or emergency, or being quick to perceive and act. So a lot of people were caught napping. I must say that COVID-19 may have been the reason why a number of people were asked to go, but some people will still have been asked to go at the end of the day, maybe with some few years or months added. So it means that we can look at COVID-19 as that bad agent that has come to cause that trouble. But what other things? What was in the mind of the people that decided on who to ask to go? So mental attitude will help to help us see how we can go on. So I'll say alertness, therefore, means that mental attitude component. These are my words now. I say it as a mental attitude that is a component of your character, a part of your character, is a component of your character. Your attitude is a component of your character. And alertness is one of those traits among the attitudes that you portray, which is a part of your total sum character. Then, I see it as belonging to the class of attentiveness. So if you check your synonyms and antonyms, you will find that attentiveness is one of it. It's about being aware of your environment. It's about preparing ahead of being in danger or being a victim of anything that could harm you. So a lot of people get into a job. Let me take the journalism profession, for instance, and then you get into that job. For instance, if you work in an organization like the one I worked in before I started the project I do right now, you will really, really love the name of the organization. Like, it opens doors for you wheresoever you go. So while you're still relishing the name and enjoying the power of the platform, you're getting so relaxed, you're not even remembering that there's a future. It's either you have a job that is capable of making you a part owner of that business, so you're settling down there and giving it all it has got, or you're still giving it all it has got because you're buying the future for yourself ultimately. So you have basic attitudes to work that ensures that at the end of the day, you have become phenomenal for yourself. You have become a package of value for yourself. You have become that out of job, always find something better to do. So I would usually say to people that I don't see people doing any job for 10 years continuously, and I've had to scale down that number to 5. You've done a job for 5 years continuously, you should be able to consult around that job. You should be able to be a consultant around that job. So the way you leave a job is not what is important. It is what you left the job with. So I believe that it is learning the process. So you have to make up your mind that you want to choose attentiveness and being focused. So I also see alertness as presence of mind. Having the presence of mind and choosing that you want to be attentive and focused. It is a mental character quality that each person is responsible for forming. Now that's very, very important. You are responsible for forming your level of alertness. You are responsible for building it. It is to be built, to be formed, and to be developed. It's not wished into your life. So whatever you need to get out on board should interest you. I go to the next slide now, and from there I'm going to be running really, really fast. There will be no need to go through the antonyms and synonym page because I believe I've taken care of that. But mental attitude is that mental state involving your beliefs, your feelings and values, your disposition, and your actions in certain ways. How do you react to the fact that someday you will have to leave that job? Did you ever think about leaving the job at all? Did it occur to you that you might ever leave? Were you watchful? Were you awake? Were you vigilant? Were you attentive? Were you aware? Or were you insensitive and slow to take decisions? Were you building? Were you learning? Were you putting stuff together? Were you thinking? The least you can do for your future is think about it. Sparing moments to think about your future. Did you have to do that when you did? So right now I'm going to help you see some useful mindset shifts that media professionals and indeed everyone who works should uphold. Number one, and I'm glad that Mr. Leko Otufoduri mentioned that in his slide because I had time to review it. Plotting your exit point from your entry point. That's so crucial. See, people get out of job and they are messed up because they were scared of even imagining that they will ever leave the job. And at this point, I'm going to say a short story about my very dear editor, Mr. Azubike Ishekwene. Forgive me, I still call him my editor because once my editor forever, just like Mr. Leko Otufoduri on the call to this evening. And he would always say to the Punch journalist many years ago, many years ago, he would say something like let's say it's the morning of January. He calls all of us and then says something like, you see, you are going to leave this job someday, somehow. Then he tries to do the list. He says, you either leave by resigning, you either leave by being sacked, you either leave by dying, and then the fourth one, you either leave by retiring. So you either walk to a point where you have reached retirement age and you have to exit. No matter how long that is going to come someday. Mental attitude, being able to face it up and tell yourself the truth that I have come in through the front door, the back door will be open sometime. Now, how you live is really important. I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm saying that you should muster the courage to think of your exit point from your entry point. So it will say that you either reach your retirement age and you leave, or you actually resign because you have better prospects and you have something to do, which was what I had to do, and or you get sacked, and then the last one, or you die. He would usually paint those pictures. And then, so number one, mindset that everyone who works must have. Never be afraid to look at it, because the more you think about it, the more you prepare the best way you want to exit and when, most likely. So a few points that I have around this would be that, next slide, it is learning. So what I have, every of the slides I'm going to be taking, I have tagged what mental alertness is. So the first one I just did now is what mental alertness is. It is thinking of your exit point from your entry point. Okay, so we answer the same question again in my next slide. What mental alertness is again? It is learning all you can learn on the job. It is learning also what you might need outside the job. I have plenty of beautiful stories about how I came into Punch newspapers in the year 2000 as an industrial attachment student, and how I left 14 years after, having worked to a point where I was able to get a proper employment there, and worked and learned so much that all that I do in my privately run business today are things that I got from all that I learned working with that organization. So part of being mentally alert on the job and not feeling hit below the belt when you're asked to go is ensure that you have maximized all the opportunities on that job to learn. Learn all you can learn. It means that you're conscious of you love you love your future, you love your tomorrow. And so you aren't just working like working. You aren't just working like, oh, 1 hour runs into another every day. I wake up, I go to work, I do the regular things, I come back, and before you know it, the years are counting. So you need to learn all you need to learn on the job, particularly everything you're going to need outside the job. Next one is mental alertness is working like you own the business or you pay the bills. Now here is something that most people are still yet to come to terms with. You do the job of others like you own it. You are only building that capacity for yourself to be able to handle whatsoever you have to do. I've seen many of my colleagues who left a few, maybe years ago, trying to do something online. And my fear is, I hope they've always built capacity around trying to do this. I hope this is not something they have to do suddenly, because the odds are currently against working where they were before. So when you work, talking about being mentally alert on the job. So I'm not just talking to you about how to survive after being sacked. I'm also talking to people who are on the call tonight who do not, who still have their job, so they don't have to lose it. And if you have to leave, I want you to leave feeling so confident and proud of you that you can start life on a stronger footing. Okay, so mental alertness is working like you own the business and working like you pay the bills. You know the way someone who owns the business works. He works like every minute counts. He doesn't lazy about at work. And so many other quality things that go with it. Time will not allow me to do plenty of that. And then mental alertness is still working with and not just working for. A lot of people work for, they don't work with. It's a mindset. Why work for? When you work for, it means you're just working for the money. You're working for your employer. What you're working with, you're actually learning processes. You are learning operations. You are learning procedures. At the end of the day, you're coming out not having only mastered the single thing you were employed to do, you have studied the system. That makes you a phenomenal package for yourself. Next slide. So next slide, I have a picture and I have what mental alertness is. It is the fact that pen power platforms don't last forever. I am the tiny person you can see in between all 6 people there. That was the day I was leaving Punch newspapers. Those were my very honored and revered colleagues and editor, and celebrating with me on my exit. Now, many of them have survived 6 years after I left. But the truth, by my last check, is that I think except one, everyone else has had to leave under different circumstances. Pen power platforms don't last forever. So when you have the platform, build emotional intelligence. Learn to treat your client, your sources well. Don't take from your sources today all the monies they might give you when you have a business tomorrow. Today, I run platforms where people I've met as a journalist are the ones, many of the programs I've run, including Mr. Leko Otufoduri, he has had to come grace one of the platforms where I do stuff around the project and the character development project. So I have a National Character Parenting Summit that I host every year, and it's been one of those who've been there. Phenomenal people who are part of the joy of what I'm doing. Why? Because I understood that it will not last forever being a journalist. I learned to treat people right. My colleagues must understand and be mentally alert to the fact that what you do with people today will determine whether you have their hearing tomorrow or whether you have an opening with them tomorrow. That's so crucial. So that's the picture. And the next one, still talking about what mental alertness is. You know, I saw I had just 25 minutes, and so I had to just put them in bullet points to help me. All right, so I need to sound this loud and clear. The truth is that nobody owes you your future. Only you owe yourself your future. There is this mentality of entitlement that we have as journalists. Because we are called the fourth extreme of the fourth exit of the realms, we tell ourselves things like, oh, I've been serving this nation by writing so and so story. I've been serving. So we see our job as a little of what do you call it now, humanitarian, and a little. I agree totally that that's what it is. But you see, to expect that when you are asked to go, everyone must come and empathize with you. I'm sorry if I'm being a bit hard. This is how hard I've been on myself. And I think that the earlier we get these things down our system and begin to take the right ones, the better for every one of us. Enough of stories of woes around journalists having to leave their jobs and not knowing what to do. Thankfully, people have talked about the tech part, and today I'm talking to you, because when you are right, everything around you will be right. So truth is that nobody owes you your future. So stop looking for your future in the hand of government. Stop looking for it in the hand of your employer. You owe yourself your future, and your mindset and your disposition to work are all of the things that make it up. The next one on that same slide is the fact that you must chart a course for yourself by what you do with your today's people and platform. What are you doing with the people you are meeting? Journalism is a phenomenal platform where you get to meet people all of the time. I have just about 5 minutes to go, and I'm conscious of time. So I'll stop wheresoever the time allows me, except of course if Michael says I can go on. Yes, so I was on the point that you must today chart a course for your tomorrow by the way you relate with people and platforms today. Many of us as journalists don't realize that we have the biggest venture capital in people, because this is a profession that helps you meet people. So we need to learn more, not to ask people to pay for every single thing they want us to do. That was me as a journalist. I would do things without asking you to pay a dime. But today that I'm out, I just like, oh, good afternoon, sir. I've left point. This is what I do now. Oh, that's so beautiful. Anytime you need my help, I want to be there to be with you. Build relationships, build platforms, build the bridges. Value people and value the platform that you have. Okay, so let's go next slide now. We're looking at mental attitudes and the things that have brought some of our people where they are today. Mental alertness is being able to set proactive career goals and reviewing them. It is also creating benchmarks and working hard towards them. So I have 3 pictures of me gazing back in the newsroom many, many years ago. If you can see my live pictures now and this, you see they are looking totally different. But I've had to go into my archives to dig these pictures up and to say things like, these were moments when I was probably, don't ask me what I was thinking, but I found this picture saying that this is about thinking of your future. Never be in a job where you don't want to know where it will end or where it will end you. It's so crucial. Okay, so you must set proactive career goals, and then you must create benchmarks that helps you know how well you're doing and continue to work towards your goals. Let me give you my story, because I said I would need to say things about me. From the 7th year in Punch, I was going to exit until I found out that, okay, there could be more. So I rejigged and got fresh energy that took me another 7 years. But once I was there, the question never left me. Number one, I hated to be sacked. I don't know, but I hated to. I worked in a place where everybody seemed to fear being sacked. I hated to be sacked. And so I was on my toes telling myself, I'll never get sacked here. I'll put in everything that I've got to do my job well, and I will trust that faith will work for me. And when I knew it was time to go, get out there and do something else, it was time. And the beautiful thing is, one of the things I've always desired is that when I'm leaving, there would be that feeling of, why don't you stay more? I had that feeling. I totally enjoyed it. Okay, so next slide, and let's see how much more I can still do. Next slide, I have a quote that I've written here, and I'd like you to allow it to sink. If you don't have a vision, a purpose, or a dream for working that is beyond getting paid, you are shortchanging yourself. You will leave such work feeling empty, used, and drained. Many of my colleagues who have left today feel like they have been used, they feel empty, they feel drained. They feel like, no, I shouldn't have been treated this way after all the years that I invested. Hello, remember I told you nobody owes you your future. So what you need to do is to have a dream. So let's say you have missed it. Please make sure you educate young professionals around you. Become a mentor to young professionals and teach them how not to fall into the same pits that you have found yourself. That's one way to live your life afresh. Next slide. Next slide I have, you need to find and build your job's second-hand value. This one is crucial. Today, I'm on radio. Today, I publish company journals. Today, I do speaking like I teach. So there are brands under RCV, First Royal Character and Values Limited. There is one that takes care of the media stuff that I did as a media person. So today I edit books for people. Where did I learn to edit books? Today I do publishing and production of journals for companies. Where did I learn to do that? All of the things that I do today to earn not just a living, but to influence my world, were practically picked from the 14 years I spent and invested in being a journalist. What is the second-hand value of your job? You need to understand it. You need to really sit down and ask yourself, the things you do every day should make you a master at them. And when you have become a master, then you are the proper person who should be teaching. Many of our journalism schools are filled with people who never went through the newsroom. We need more of the people who have exited to be able to package what they've learned properly into sellable products and be able to ask those who are willing to invest in it. Talking about second-hand value, so people capital, I picked it, and then with it, I'm better off today. I picked creative thinking from every editorial meeting I've had to go, every time. So I've logged in hours, millions of hours into having editorial meetings with the team of journalists that I work with as team members and my bosses. That has created a phenomenal person out of me when it comes to thinking capacity. We're always challenged to think of exclusive stories. So right now that I do business for myself, my mind never sleeps. I'm always turning out creative ideas. I picked that from there. I don't know if someone is beginning to understand what I'm saying. And then people, I learned to manage people well, and so many other things like that. So here are a few things and I'll stop. I have actually jumped Mr. Michael. I have tried to skip all of those for time, and I am at slide 20, and I'm just going to read the 2 quotes there. Media platform gives you power. Very true. Media platform gives you power. You need to use it, okay? Use it for development. So the power that the media gives you, please use it for development. That is, use your capacity to write to develop your environment, because you need that environment again tomorrow. And then understand that there's a world outside the newsroom. So for those who are still in there today and they are not tying any knots, they are not making anything happen better, they are not making anyone smile or happy, they will have to go and battle with that when they leave the newsroom. Another thing is that, remember that the media profession is a 25 hours job. Permit me to say, even when you have left work, you are still thinking about the next story, the next headline, because there's this saying that says that you are as good as your last byline. So it's a 25 hours job, if there's anything like that. So what you should do, if the job takes so much from you, you must find a way to align it deliberately with your long-term goals, and so that it does not add up to stories of past glories. So you're not saying, oh, I wish. Now, for those who may have lost it, let me quickly speak to those who have had to lose their jobs. Here are a few things that I feel can help you. Number one, so to get a rebound, number one, I think that you should understand that this is not peculiar to you. Crucial, you must let that sink. It's not peculiar to you. Someone else went through this and came out of it and was better. So that takes me to the next thing, that you should undertake a research on rebound strategies and stories that will inspire you to move on. Rather than sit down and bemoan the situation, it's time to dust your feet from it and then take a plunge. The next thing is that you should seek guidance, seek knowledge from positive-minded sources. Don't stop learning. Remember, that's all the story that I have to tell. Learning as you work, learning on the job, understanding that working is one thing that should enhance your worth. Working is not meant to just pay you, it's meant to help you learn. So you don't only earn as you work, you learn. And you don't only get money, you get worth by working. So if you have lost it, I also want to encourage you that you need to be patient and have perseverance as critical items. It's not going to happen overnight. You can ask me. It's been 5 years of being CEO, First Royal Character and Values Limited, with all the various offerings that we have to project. And I can tell you stories and stories are stories of endurance, perseverance, and patience. Every entrepreneur will tell you the same story. Okay, so let's say you're even starting something for yourself. Please, I must tell you that patience and perseverance will be important. And then you need to prioritize investment going forward. Maybe when you're a journalist, you know, money has a way of coming into the hands of journalists almost every time. Because you have goodwill, people want to be part of your life. And some people cry to the fact that, oh, once I have left, my phone stopped ringing. My own phone has not stopped ringing. I don't know how that happened. Maybe not at the rate that it ran before, but there are people who have always known who still call me, who I still have stuff with. So that takes me back again to what you're doing with people and platforms. So please don't spend wastefully. Now that you may have to have savings, you have to prioritize investments. And then 3 months ago, stay focused on the vision that you have cast. So you must cast a vision. What's the new life that I want to live? How do I want to go about it? Give it what it takes. Make it the best second chance you've ever had. And then look for special ways to do uncommon things, including recreation. Look for things that excite you, that give you a new lease of life. And then never get into the blame game or regrets game. Staying in there will sink you below the bottomless pit. You don't want to do that. And finally, 3 things I'll leave you with for that innovative change in your future career: vision, discipline, courage. Thank you so much. Michael.
Thank you very much, Bossede. This can everybody just unmute and give a round of applause? That was really, yeah, that was really great. That was really great. You make it a bit difficult to ask questions because you've covered everything already. Because there are questions I was gonna ask, but you already covered it here and there, right? You started logically and you tied the story neatly at the end. But I'm still gonna ask anyway, for the sake of people. You mentioned some really key points, right? Journalists, just like some people, maybe doctors, right, from different walks of life, there's no sleep time because you're already thinking of the next thing. You cannot get still. So, and then you mentioned something else that was really key. That's the multi-talented nature of journalists, right? Knowing something about everything and everything about something. Now, how do you bring yourself under discipline when you want to create something for yourself? This, you know, because at times being multi-talented can be a kind of impediment to really knowing what you want to do. How can you narrow that down? You know, all those talents and everything. How can you narrow it down? Like to your story of Royal Character Academy, despite all those things, you're now focusing on the psychological and emotional part of journalism. How can people narrow that down to where they can really focus on one thing and use it to build, even leveraging every other talent they have?
Okay, thank you for the question. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's no one size fits all answer, but I'm going to try to do justice to this. First, I think that every journalist should have what he or she is passionate about. When I worked, my passion, now I must tell you that by virtue of where I worked, I had the opportunity to cover several bits. At a point, I covered politics. At a point, I covered lifestyle. At a point, I covered core business interviews. That was one of the major things ways I was being assessed. Then there was short sell, all kinds of things. At the end of the day, rubbing shoulders with CEOs of banks as a business correspondent gave me a hold of what it feels like to be at that scale. When I covered professional bodies, ICANN and the rest of them, that gave me, so relationship has a way of rubbing stuff off you. But as you do plenty of those things together, you must find where your passion is leaning towards. So at the end of the day, I found out that my passion was mostly for seeing people have redress. The best of stories I ever wrote in my life that really excited me, that gave me a feeling of fulfillment. were those where I was writing a story in defense of someone. Maybe someone says, oh, my neighbor brought a generator, I'm dying, whatever, and I'm asked to go and do that kind of a story. And I returned back being able to ensure that it might have been a multinational that was involved. Maybe that multinational gets kicked, and then this innocent Nigerian gets joy or happiness or redress. So I began to notice that that has been the thing that gave me the most fulfillment. It meant that I had something to do with helping people make their lives better. I never had, so you must, again, it comes to being alert. You must be alert to yourself. And we're going to hear about awareness of self from Nada. But I want to say that you must be alert. You must not be too busy to have time for you, because you are the one that creates, makes your world go round. So to answer that question, to be able to know where exactly to pin it up, you must check on your passion. What gives you the most joy? Even if you're not going to do anything that is like a derivative of journalism directly, you will need that fuel to help to push you in whatsoever you decide to do. It will always come in handy. So everyone will eventually find where they belong, but you will never be able to totally do without what you have noticed about you over the years. So for 14 years, I found out that the best of stories, whether features and the rest of it that I did, were ones that help people get justice for whatsoever anyone was trying to, take advantage of them over. So that, again, is still the same thing that runs my system or my software in what I do right now. So there was no character development in the picture all through my work at the Punch. It was just after I left that I realized this aspect of it, but I've been able to tie it to everything I've ever done till now. I don't know if that kind of answers your question.
It totally answers the question, and thanks for that. I think you have a way of speaking in a way that covers everything in just one powerful expression. I really like that about the way you talk, right? So it's like you've already given everything we should have.
So I learned that also for being a journalist.
Wow, that's really great. So this is a good segue into the next speech. And Nada Moai, I'm sorry we're 1 minute over. I know you are a time person, so it's a quick segue into your speech, and we're going to give a buffer at the end of your session to for that time miss. So now we move over to the next speech. Nada Moai, as I told you, is an engineer, right? So he's actually kind of person that should be among journalists who think about different things, right? And engineers also think that way, just about anything at all, right? They build several stuff, even phones, books, how you read and stuff like that. So he's the founder and CEO of Engineer Your Mission. And I think it's a good segue from where Bosse is stopping about your mission in life and then taking that to Nada Moai. So Nada Moai, you're welcome. You have the floor. Take it away.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. And it's such a perfect, like you say, segue, because for me and my journey and a lot of, if you were looking at my video while Bosse was talking, I was just nodding. I was like, yeah, me too. So a lot of everything, there's truth in everything that she said, but a lot of what she said, I've experienced too. And it really became down to a point that I found what I was passionate about. And I found it because I noticed that I'm helping people, and the good energy and the good feeling people were giving back to me. That's what made me happy. That was 2010. Still today, 10 years later, 10 and a half years later, I still do it for the same reason. I think for however long I live, it still be the same reason. So that's why I love what she left with. And she said, you got to find what you're passionate about, what makes you happy. That's what success is. If you're happy doing what you do, ultimately you're successful. And if what you do directly helps people, so you figure out that I'm doing this, whatever it is I'm doing, it helps. This is how it's helping someone. So that's a lot of that's great advice. Now, with that said, Michael and I call this presentation Mental Health Awareness in Times of Great Change. And I put a low line down there, which is, just mental strength. I wanted to help you guys understand the strength side of it, more so for people in career crisis. Pretty much what I do is career coaching or career transition coaching. Because I've gone through 4 different job changes, 4 different career changes, I became really good at it, and I understand people who are also going through it. So that's why I'm gonna speak more so towards people who are considering a change or a development or a new career. Let's go to the next slide. With that said, this presentation is for you if you've recently graduated, you want to start your career for the first time, you're currently working or you lost your job due to a layoff, pandemic related, or again, you're working, but your career has gone to some steps or some obstacles, and those obstacles have led to some mental stress for you. Now, what we're going to discuss today is basically primarily the dangers of mental weakness. It is important for us to understand the scary part of mental weakness, what's there to avoid. So we'll start there, and then understanding why you actually need to strengthen your mental mindset and how to build and maintain that strength throughout the times. Go to the next slides. A little information about me, and very quickly I'll go through this. The first half of my life started when I was born and raised in Iran. When I was 18 years old, I moved to Canada, and I had already finished high school in Iran, but when I moved to Canada, I didn't speak English, so I had to go back 2 years in high school, graduated with a 55%, so I barely graduated, and got into college. So kind of second part of my life happened in Canada. I started college in 2003, graduated from electronics engineering. I made a lot of Nigerian friends in college, so so that was a lot of fun. From there, I graduated in end of 2007, went to work in 2008. So the first time I was hit with a big mental mindset issue challenge was the 2008 recession that we experienced everywhere around the world. So that was very difficult, and the first thing that took me to deep depression. In a nutshell, I went to school. I was promised to graduate and make, $30, $40 per hour. Well, my first job was $14.19. Comparatively, that was just basically bare minimum. You didn't need an engineering degree. You could do it out of high school. So that was the thing that led me just put myself under a lot of pressure and blame myself for a lot of stuff, feeling like it has to do with my luck. I blamed my dad. I blamed everybody, and that made me definitely go through a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety over 3 years, from 2007 to 2010. I worked in telecommunications. I worked in IT. That was fine, but it wasn't what I went to school for. I never used my degree, so that always stayed on my mind until 2010. I went to a recruiting company asking for help. And I was so persistent. I was so committed to getting a job that they said, you know what, we can't find you a job because it's been 3 years you haven't done engineering work. You never used your degree. I forgot programming. I forgot a lot of technical stuff. So I went through a lot of failed interviews, and that just put me down and down and down more. But one thing that happened to me is that I had a never give up attitude. So I followed up with the recruiter so many times, and she got tired. She's like, okay, we'll hire you. Come work here. You're the kind of person who has a technical background and you have the right attitude. So that's great to becoming a recruiter. So that's kind of my story. So I got to where I am today through lots of different loops, lots of industry changes, lots of anxiety and stress. In 2010, I totally lost my identity. I changed my name to like a Canadian, like a American name, thinking like I have to change my name. My dad changed his name. None of that stuff worked. So I went through a lot of obstacle where I just started drinking, smoking, drugs, everything. So I have lots of experiences, bad experiences. I'll tell you a little bit more about it today, but I want you to know that I understand a lot of this crazy stuff that's happening in the world right now. And what makes me happy, what the reason why I do what I do as a career coach and a life coach today, is to make sure that other people who are going through the same challenges don't have the bad experiences that I had. You know, so because I felt that pain, I want to stop everyone else from feeling that pain, feeling that anxiety. So with that, let's go to the next slide. I'll go through these very quickly for us to get to the Q&A section and answer any questions you have. So throughout my entire career, whether as an engineer, study engineer, recruiting, career coaching, I've seen a lot of people who just beat the odds. No matter what are the challenges or tragedies, you know, they get themselves back up every time they fall down. And the fact that you keep getting back up and you keep trying and trying and trying and trying, that's what makes you mentally strong and ultimately makes you unstoppable. So that's one thing that's extremely important, because you either pick yourself back up, and if you do, you're going to have certain characteristics. So I love that, but they talk a lot about character. If you go to the next slide, the common characteristic of someone I met who has that never give up attitude is actually a desire to build their mental strength. So they acknowledge mindset. They want to become more confident. Even if they know I'm not confident, at the same time, they know that I want to become more confident and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. And if you go to our next slide, on the other side, I've also seen a lot of other people who just, you know, crash under pressure, and they also have a common characteristic, which is a self-limiting belief. So it's often those self-limiting beliefs that ends up, you know, you don't get a promotion, you're going to struggle with building long-term relationships or start working in a company for a long time. A lot of times it's just self-imposed. A lot of these challenges are self-imposed challenges. So if you go to the next slide, the primary question I always ask is, you know, are you able to, or do you want to become capable of turning your struggles into your strengths? Because challenges are always opportunities. You know, challenges are the best opportunities, because that's the time to respond to. That's the time to attend to. It could be a health crisis like what you're going through right now. It could be relationship troubles or financial problems. Every time you're in trouble, you're automatically more motivated. And you know why? Because we're human. You know, we're human beings. Anytime you put us under pressure, even animals, everybody, you corner an animal to a point and then they're going to come and bite you, you know? So human beings are like that too. Now, we're not going to bite each other, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to build whatever, you know, I'm going to do whatever I want. Whatever the goal is, we're going to achieve it. And it's just really starting from here. Moving on to the next slide, let's acknowledge the dangers of mental health, because again, a lot of those self-sabotaging behaviors are the ones that are holding you back from reaching your goals. So two major ones are fear of rejection and lack of optimism, which we talked about. So you got to be optimistic. You got to be excited. You got to know that if you don't have confidence, that's okay. But you got to be excited about the process of becoming more stronger up here. Just like you're going to be excited to go to the gym and lift weights, you need to just exact same thing. We'll talk about that a little more. So in the next slide, you'll see that your mind can be either your best asset or your biggest weakness. And it's just comparing positive thoughts with negative thoughts. If you think negatively, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you go to a job interview and you're just negative about it, I'll feel it. You know, everybody will feel it. Again, we are human. Animals, humans, we're the same. We feel that, you know. If you're an animal, then you know you feel it. You're pretty sure you're confident. But if you're a human, there's a thing that we might not be confident with our ability to feel energy, but we do. It's our gut feeling, you know, when you're around someone. This is so obvious in an interview, you know, because it's me in a closed door, closed room, you're being assessed. Naturally, you're nervous, and I'm not, you know. So you're being put in a position that if you go in there with negative mindset, you're upset, it is a worse scenario that you're creating for yourself. Otherwise, if you're just, you know, if you go to our next slide, if you stay positive, that's it, you know, you're not creating that negative first impression. and you're not decreasing your chances of getting hired. So again, you don't want to label yourself anything. The problem is that I did for years. For example, everybody in my family are engineers, I had to be an engineer, so I became an engineer because I didn't choose to be an engineer because my dad and uncles are engineers. So I had to be an engineer. So I didn't make that decision. And going through school, a lot of people do this, we go through university, you get a job and you're doing it just to make someone else happy. So later on, these become insecurities and you blame other people just like I did. That's what you want to avoid. That's the reason I coach people, share my story is that, me, like anybody else, if you go make mistakes, it's totally okay. But just don't take your mistakes with you in interviews, because people, if you believe their mistakes, if you believe they're negative, your feeling will come across that negatively affects your mindset. So if you go to the next slide, you got to understand that you can't create positive change until you take control of your mind and your thoughts. So for me, I had to sit down and just, understand what's going on, why I went to school just because I thought engineering was cool because my dad did it, or I didn't get a job in the engineering field that I wanted. I never used my degree. I paid $40,000 for that. Never used it. So it was a complete waste. So I had problems with that, but I had to sit down. I've worked with a lot of coaches over the last 10 years. So whether it's a coach or a mentor or someone more experienced than you, whom you trust, normally a stranger, so you can tell your life secrets to that stranger and don't feel shy about it. That's what I did. So all my coaches are responsible for helping me understand my story and then become cool with my dad, understand what my uncles are doing. We understand it. So I'm like, okay, that's what they did. That's what I'm doing today. I'm an engineer who does life coaching, who does confidence coaching, who helps people with their resumes. I use my knowledge and passion. I tell my stories from growing up, but I don't use any technical knowledge. So now I'm okay with it. Now I'm not depressed about it. That happened for me only 5 years ago. Up until 5 years ago, I had unsolved issues, with my family. Why did I do certain things? So let's go to the next slide and really assess why we need mental strength, and this is where I want you to picture someone that mentally strong. I'm going to picture my dad. So let's go to the next slide. I did some research and I read a lot of great content from Ben. So I've got a great quote on here. It says the most authentic thing about us is our capacity to create, to overcome, to endure, to transform, to love, and to be greater than our suffering. So if you look at that positive mental attitude, how positive that sentence is, that's what's going to take you. If you think about it as a mantra, if you repeat that, print that picture, put it on the wall, say it out loud every morning, that's going to put you in the right mental mindset. But if it's not Ben or if it's not my dad that you're thinking about, whoever that person is, just, what do they look like? How do you define them to be mentally strong? Are they a member of a family? Are they a professional athlete? Runner, wrestler, soldier, warrior, whoever it is, maybe a leader around the world. I want you to know that you don't have to be a professional athlete or a world leader to be able to benefit from strengthening your mindset. A normal person in a normal job, we all benefit from it. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that whether you're starting a career or you're leading a business, building your mental mindset or your mental muscle, it's going to help you reach your goals. Now, when you're strong up here, you're pretty much a better version of yourself. You are almost always a happier version of yourself, and you'll be more capable. So I want you to just consider the possibilities. If you go to our next slide, I want you to see, ask yourself, what can I accomplish if I'm willing to risk rejection? If I'm willing to risk looking bad or feeling bad, or what could you achieve if you just push yourself outside of your comfort zone, outside of your mental and also physical limits? And, who could you help? A lot of times, I know I do the things that I do, for someone else. It's like my wife, I want my parents to be happy. That's it. We don't have any other family here. It's just me, my wife, and my parents. So I just want them to be happy, you know, so I don't really do the work that I do. I don't read books or work on my confidence to make me happy. I do it to help other people happy. So I feel like that's a good use of my time and good use of my energy. I always recommend that to others. I learned it from someone else. I pass on that strategy. So it's good to be self-centered, but it's also good to be centered around your family and around your, you know, friends, someone you hold close to your heart. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that strong, resilient mindset. It just allows you to be more confident. And now that you build that confidence, you want to maintain it. You know, you want to just have it. Now, this is just like, again, just like physical muscle. If you put it to work, it gets stronger. And just like your actual physical muscles like atrophy or they lose their size, mental muscle is actually exactly the same. You know, it becomes just less capable. It doesn't shrink in size, I think, but it just becomes less capable. So going to the next slide, you'll see that like it's so important for you to track your progress and monitor your growth just to see where you are and for you to basically identify the bad habits you have so you can stop them. Because we have some bad habits that just steal our mindset. We want to stop those right away. Going to the next slide, you'll see it's also essential to have healthy boundaries. Some people do this well, some people don't. I don't do a good job at this, you know. I know that my coach works, say this kind of personality thing. I say yes to everyone, you know, it's part of my personality. It's not great for mental health because sometimes, you know, I'm speaking on the phone for 12, 13, 14 hours a day. Yesterday, I was on the phone for 12 and a half hours, nonstop. I can do it because I love doing it. I have done it in the past. I worked a lot on the phone in call centers, telecommunication companies, phone companies. So I can sit there, physically do it. Mentally, I can sit there, do it for 8 hours, then 4 more hours. But if you're doing something like that, if some people are taking your time, whether that's you like it or you don't like it, try to put boundaries around it. So that you don't let them sabotage your sanity and you don't overwork yourself. Overworking yourself, even if you're doing it out of love. Again, I'm an example of it. I love it. But sometimes when you get off the phone after 13, 14, 15 hours, and I'm a workaholic, which is another bad thing, but I love it. So you see, if I'm strong here, I can work 20 hours a day. 3 weeks ago, I went through like a few days. It was just 20 hours a day, 20 hours, 20 hours. So in 3 days, I would work 60 hours. Just sleep 4 hours, 4 hours. And that's it. Then you have to sleep for a whole full day or day and a half. But in those 3 days, I worked 60 hours, you know? So for you to be productive doing something like that, you got to have a strong mindset. So I want you to really pay attention to that. Go to the next slide. You got to set aside some time to reflect on your improvements. Just like I do with my coaches, you can do with your mentors. You got to see like if you're challenging yourself, are you actually growing or are you just growing comfortable? You know, because you get to that point, you become more strong, more mentally strong, more confident. But if you stay there, there's no improvement. You know, being confident in one area of life doesn't always mean you're going to be confident in other areas. You know, so it just can't be a guarantee. So moving on to the next slide, another great quote on here. Again, you got to invest in positive self-talk. So you got to say these things out loud. You got to believe it. So here, you know, our future is greater than our past. That is something you can repeat every day. Just repeat it every day. My future is better than my past. And I believe it. You know, that automatically puts me in the right mindset, you know, and it helps me avoid challenges because whatever the challenge is, not avoid, overcome challenges. Whatever challenge I get, I'm going to overcome it because I know my future is better than my past. So memorize that, write it down, memorize it. Now, moving on to the next slide, I want to quickly go through and like acknowledge, you can understand what a growth mindset is because it's like acting tough. There's a difference in acting tough and being tough or being strong and just acting tough. Acting tough would be just about surviving. So again, you're being cornered, you're being under pressure, you act a certain way, you put up a certain mask just to survive. But being strong, being mentally strong is about thriving. It's about having a growth mindset. So in the next slide, you'll see that strong mindset has a lot of advantages, although not a lot of people use it. So I want to show it to you because I want you to be strong rather than act tough. You know, acting tough is just, it hides your insecurities. If there's something you're lack confidence in, you're just hiding it. You're just denying that pain, or, you know, it just makes you be more indestructible, believe you're indestructible, but like you're not, you know, none of us are. Or surpass your emotions, turn you into a controlling person, or get you to focus on your reputation, you know, because you take yourself so seriously. And it gets you to pretend that failure isn't an option. And that's not true. Like, failure is a big part of success, you know. Being mentally strong is about building character, which is what I love about the presentation before this. It's a huge part of it. Without failure, without hardship, nothing's going to happen. You know, we need to learn from those fears. We need to acknowledge our emotions. And we need to strive for self-control. We need to be self-reliant. We need to understand that we can make mistakes, and that's okay, but we need to control them and recognize our shortcomings so we can learn from them. So, like, moving on to the next slide, you'll see that every single morning, every single day, we always have a choice. You either stick to your routine or you don't, you know? So if you choose to be better than yesterday, you're a step ahead of the game. Or you can choose to stay comfortable and to just avoid pain, avoid fear, avoid challenges, just sit there and be still, do nothing. But we don't want to do that, obviously. So I want to give you some self-care strategies in 3 different areas. First area is about taking care of your body. And in the next slide, you'll see the first step is just sleep. You know, first step of this is just get enough sleep. Now, you never want to be the guy who falls asleep in the bed with his laptop, but get as much sleep as you can. I get my 8 hours. If I don't get my 8 hours, I'm not going to be at the optimum point. For you, it might be 6, it might be less than that, or it might be 10 hours, but sleep is a crucial part. In the next slide, you got to take care of your physical body. So you got to participate in regular physical activity. Now, whether that's running, wrestling, weightlifting, any type of whatever you do, just stay active, swim, you know. Next slide, you got to eat healthy. To take care of your body, you got to eat healthy. So follow a diet that is a good match to you. You're comfortable, you feel good, your stomach feels good, you're regular, and you're energized. And use what's available to you. You know, we do a lot of cooking at home, traditional Persian cooking. That works for me. That works for my wife. We're happy. Don't complicate it. Whatever the foods are that you like, stick to them, but stay healthy. Stay healthy. Next slide. I have struggled with alcohol, tobacco, drugs all myself. I haven't drank since October 6, 2018. So sober for almost 2 years. 5-6 years of no smoking. So that was great. But it's something that really takes a lot of toll. It becomes a way for us to escape reality, and it not only weakens your mind, it just makes the process of strengthening your mind even worse, because the drugs, when you take the drugs, they're just talking back to you. You know, they're telling you you're stronger. They're telling you, oh, I got this, you know, no worries. That's not it. You ain't got nothing, you know, nothing, you know, no drugs, no alcohol, none of that stuff is going to be beneficial. And unless you have prescription drugs and you talk to your doctor, your health provider, that is different. But I think from this picture, you know what I'm talking about. Next slide is screen time. Now, whether that's TV, your phone, your tablet, whether that's listening too much to the radio, whatever it is, you know, you want to limit that, and don't let someone else or something else dictate your thoughts. I know we're talking about media today. It's a lot about media, but consuming it for overextended amount of time without an agenda is harmful. You can watch TV or videos or YouTube videos all about mental mindset. It's something that you're going to learn. That's great. But if they're not beneficial, if they're not educational, not for extended amount of times. The last step in the next slide, I just want you guys to be able to relax and, you know, recharge, whatever that is for you, however you define it, whether that's taking a bath, going for a walk, reading, speaking with someone, playing video games, watching a few YouTube videos, whatever it is, going for a walk, spending time with your family, with your spouse, with your children, whatever, take the time for it. Because if you don't take care of yourself, pressure, again, you're getting cornered. You're getting cornered to the wall, and it's the results. You're not going to behave properly. Again, I'm a victim of that. I told you like a couple of weeks ago, and I was working crazy. I know that, I said something wrong, like the way I behaved with my wife, so like we didn't have a big fight, but it was a little argument because of the way I talked. Why did I talk like that? Because I only slept 8 hours in the last 48 hours. I've been working 40 hours in the last 2 days. So that's kind of a good excuse, but it's not. Take time for yourself. Now let's move on to another part. Second part is taking care of your mind, so step number 1, taking care of your mind, in the next slide is just basically a regular routine. Whatever your routine is, you got to keep up to it. If you stick to it, if you develop that pattern and become consistent, that feels the best, because then that's what's going to help you strengthen that mental mindset, because you have a full conversation in the back of your head. You got this because you've been doing it. You're going to wake up tomorrow on time because you've been doing it. You're going to go to the gym because you've been doing it. You're going to eat healthy because you've been doing it. So again, when you got pattern, that negative voice in the back of your head is going to go away. It's going to get demolished. You're going to take care of that voice by consistency, by pattern. In the next slide, I've wanted to, again, it's part of the body. It's because you're physically sitting there watching the news, watching, lots of TV. It's also part of the mind. So especially here, I wanted to point out news. I haven't watched the news in 2 months. The one bad thing for that is that you get detached from a lot of stuff, like all these rioting and things that happened in the US. I was inside of it and I didn't realize. I came home and, we're like, what's happening? Why is there riots in the street? There's nothing wrong with that. I didn't die. Nothing bad happened. I came home. I watched the TV for a whole day, and that's it. But especially if you watch U.S. news, it's crazy. There's lots of bad news all around the world, but there's also good news. So if you're gonna watch news, you want to talk about the new stuff. If that's what makes you happy, maybe it's part of your job. Maybe you're a journalist. Focus on the positive stuff. You can find the same amount of positive stuff happening in the world right now. You can find the same number of people beating cancer today right now than the number of people who are dying with COVID. So whatever you look for, you'll find it. In the next slide, again, I want you to focus on that positive thoughts. So you're fabricating, creating these thoughts, and you can just choose. It's a decision. Just like I was talking about news, you can choose to look for bad and look for how many people died today from COVID, or you can look at how many people were born today. That's also great. Congratulations to them. They are alive. So it just depends on what you look for. So focus on positive thoughts. Now, moving on to the next slide, I want you to also use your like spiritual life, or it might be a moral compass. It might be religion, whatever your connection is with the one and only God. Use that. Use that as not a shield, but sort of like an armor you believe you wear all the time. It's your belief system. You believe it's going to be right. Love what Baseda said. If you are right, your world will be right. If you know what you're doing is right, you'll be right. Don't worry about it. There is nothing to worry about, because everything you're doing it the right way. You're following the virtues, you're following justice, you're demonstrating courage, you're helping people, and where you're not robbing people. So what you do is right, your world will be right. Now, there's a powerful quote here that says, when the roots are deep, I think it's an African proverb, when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. Very powerful. So think about your mindset as the roots of the tree in the ground. When you have a strong mindset, there is no reason to fear that wind. There's nothing that's going to shake you, because in your mind you're strong. Moving on to the final step here, just set priorities. So you're not spending your time, you're not getting robbed of opportunities. Now, the last piece of, on the next slide, the last part 3 of the self-care strategy is about connecting with positive people. This is how you're going to build a support system, basically by building and strengthening relationships. So step number 1, as you have probably guessed it, Michael was talking about this, connect on LinkedIn, connect with good people on LinkedIn. I've been using LinkedIn for 11 years. I've been teaching it for 9 years. Today, it's the one and only job search tool that we use. We've almost forgotten the resume. You know, the resume is now the LinkedIn profile, and LinkedIn profile is a lot more powerful. It allows you to communicate, connect, do a lot more than just apply to a job. And companies are using it as their #1 tool. So connect on LinkedIn. Step number 2 in the next slide, you got to do something for others. I mean, we talked about this, but whether that's family, that's friends, that's neighbors, whether it's giving them food, whether it's giving them shelter, supporting them with giving them your time, taking care of someone they love, whatever it is, you got to help other people, because that's going to make them smile. It's going to make them happy. It's going to give them, they're going to send a lot of positive energy and support back to you, and you're going to be happy because you did something nice for people. Last but not least, you got to focus on family. Next slide, you got to support a family member, especially nowadays. There's a chance someone is isolated. They might be more elderly. They might need help picking up prescription, buying groceries, whatever it is. You know, trying to help someone whom you can, try to help someone, try to build bridges. You know, when these times are tough, rather than putting dams up, you got to build bridges, you know, rather than stop, don't talk to me, you got the COVID, you know, it's like everyone here is crazy like that, which I don't like. Everyone's just walking, you know, not looking at each other. Instead of putting walls up, build bridges, you know. It's like, I love saying hi to people, and sometimes they get scared here in the elevator, you know, but it's interesting. It's like, wow, everybody's putting walls. Well, I want to build bridges. I know that for my mental health. Otherwise, nobody's going to talk to each other. 2 years from now, we're going to forget about each other. I don't like that. I'm not going to be happy with that. So I talk to everybody. I support them. I hold the elevator. I'll hold it. Whatever it is, you want to support someone else as little as possible. Now, as we get close to the end of the presentation, I've got a couple of more slides here. I want you guys to understand, just recognize what is typical and what is not. So when you're sitting there holding your head, is this real? Am I taking it seriously? It's not even real. So if you go to our next slide, you'll see that stress is just a very normal psychological and physical reaction to what happens to us in life. There's nothing wrong with that. It's totally normal. Next slide, you'll notice that, again, it's also normal. It's common to feel stress and worry during a crisis when you're under pressure. There's nothing wrong with you if you feel pressure. You know, that's totally normal. But what's not normal is that when these things like stack up, they turn into like feelings of like hopelessness, sadness, anger. You know, you're irritable, you're hopeless, you know, you're anxious or you're afraid, you're in fear, and they happen over and over again, and they're affecting your daily life and your routine. You feel miserable. That's when this needs to stop. That's when you need to just raise your hand up. You need to contact Michael. You need to contact me. You need to contact Mercedes, anyone that you can, and ask for help. So next slide is basically that. You have to ask your help when you need it, because if you don't ask for it, nothing happens. So the major thing is the fear of asking. What will people think of me? They think I'm stupid if I ask them, or, you know. No, they don't. People love helping you, you know, even if they're not a coach like me. If you ask someone for help, it's a good feeling for them, you know. Even if I can't help you and someone asks me for help, it's nice that you trusted me to ask me for help. I feel important, you know. So give that important feeling to people. Ask them for help, and you don't have to say the whole question at the first, but just step by step, sit down in a private conversation. See how they can support you, or just pick up the phone and call them. Use social media to connect with a close friend. If you work in a company that has like an employee assistance program, there's definitely opportunity there. You can definitely call your healthcare provider, local doctor. And obviously, like if this pressure is really building up, you're feeling like suicidal or want to think of hurting yourself, things like that, just seek help right away. love to work with you, speak with you, help you, support you, but contact your primary healthcare provider, your mental health professionals, or suicide hotline, your local suicide hotline. Now, with that said, last slide here, you just want to continue your self-care strategies, because like no matter how long the night may be, the days to come, so you got to go back and just stay positive. Regardless of what happens, even if I lose my arm today, tomorrow I'm going to wake up, it's a new day. You know, I'm not dead. Yeah, I have one less arm, but I'm not dead. You know, so just stay positive until you die. But I guarantee you, if you die positive, you're gonna die with no regret. You know, so if you go to if you speak with someone elderly, the number one thing are the regrets. You know, you sit down and talk to them, the regrets come out, but like you don't want to die with regrets. You want to die with happiness. You know, so that's just positivity, positive self-talk. So I love this proverb that, again, no matter how long the night will be, the day will come. Thank you all for sticking with me, for listening to us. I've got my email address there, the website up there, but definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, because what I do on LinkedIn, I also send voice messages. So I do coaching for everybody. If you have a question, send me an email. I record a voice message and I send it back to you. So sometimes it becomes like 5-10 minute message. Again, I try to motivate you. I focus on mental health primarily. So sometimes you just need a cheerleader. I'll be that cheerleader. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nedar Moai. Please unmute and give a round of applause for that, right? That's really powerful, really powerful. I thought it was the first time I heard you speak. Yeah, I thought it was just the first time, but man, someone will not stop clapping. So I thought it was the first time, but when you speak, I feel like your experiences rather than just hearing you talk, because of your story style, right? To blend in the story. So I feel like it's a chat, right? And that makes me experience the speech rather than just hear it, right? And take it. I experience what you experience. So you're able to connect on that empathic level, right? And I think, Mr. Lekon, I think this is your chance to.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so once again, I want to thank Nadal for that presentation. I think it was very, very practical, and because many of us who are journalists on this session, if we keep taking those things as he said we should do, we know where we are guilty. Because we appear like superhuman, we want to do everything. Some of us brag about not sleeping, but from what you have said, we need that mental strength to go through what we are going now. So I don't want to take too much time, just to say that this session is very practical. I'm aware that this session, these things will be sent to us. We need time to digest some of these things as talked about, and we really need it, or else we are going through times when there's a lot of negative news around us. There's a lot of don't do well. In our newsrooms, we have stories about people who are not successful. People tell you journalism is not a good job. So there's that mental sabotaging thing you talked about, self-sabotaging environment, and we need to deliver ourselves from it. So once again, thank you. Just in case some other people want to say something, but thank you for sharing. And thank you, Boss, too, for sharing from your experience. I really like that picture you showed. It shows reality that is going to come. At the time, some people are sending you off. Before they knew it, they had to leave themselves. So it's a reality. It's a cycle that must go around. So thank you once again.
Yeah, thanks again. Great presentation today from both speakers. Quickly, we have the word cloud up. And the question is, so when we talk about this support, I know most times when we go to work, we're buried in our work, trying to satisfy, help support our teams. So let's just take a gauge. In the Nigerian media, which of the media companies have the best mental support package for media practitioners? If you can put your answer, I've sent a link to the chat group. Just enter any name of the organization. Let us just take a quick, somebody's shaking their head. I don't know. Is there an organization with good mental support, like somebody who actually could say, hey, this is end of the year. let's take a break. Let's leave the work. Let's come together. Okay, somebody said none. That's because these things have to be in place. Somebody has to have your back, right? Somebody has to have your back. And if that doesn't exist, and that's why somebody said not sure, which is still good. That's why you need to connect outside with these resources. I mean, if you can connect with somebody who is going to send you a 10-minute voicemail to a question you ask, that's why this other channels like LinkedIn is going to be really good. And see, it's really bad, right, that we cannot really start pointing out, organizations in the community over there that actually have, that mental support. Because sometimes, that's why people get depressed, and back me up on this, Nader and Bosede, sometimes you are just falling into that hole, right? And then somebody has to come pick you up. And, sometimes we don't understand when people resort to drinking or smoking, or maybe even something worse, right? But the problem is there's no backup. There's nobody watching out for you. There's nobody saying, you changed recently. Why do you look down today, right? It's almost like, go get your job done. Where's my story, right? So I don't know. Bosede and Ejiro, I was going to ask you this question, and Ejiro was one of our speakers. I mean, how do we get the organizations, the communities to see the importance of those things? And Bosede, maybe we'll answer in this round. Ejiro is going to answer. Ejiro is going to answer this. Bosede as well. And Nader, if there's any suggestion, I know you already offered your platform, right? But how can we communicate this to business organizations and workplaces as well to take this kind of things seriously? So Ejiro, over to you.
Yeah, I need to thank Nadal for that brilliant presentation. It was utterly mind-blowing, just as well digested and served in beautiful bites. And Abosede, thank you as well for the point of view you brought all the discuss from. So to answer your question, Michael, this is what I'm going to say. You only know that something is of importance when you give attention to it. You only also do that which is important because you see the value in it. And that means that for organizations, especially the media organizations, the thing is, welfare has never been a very core fundamental principle in the running of a business. People design business modules and they don't understand that in the business strategy, the welfare of staff is critical. And then if you understand the Nigerian labor law, the way it is structured, you will see why most often than not, the business organizations actually are more favored by the laws we have to the disadvantage of the, staff or workers, be they contract workers, temporary workers, or whatever level or category they have to work for. Now, the only way we can begin to address this issue is we need to also review our labor law. And that is because even the Nigerian Labor Organization, the Nigerian NLC, right? They too are grappling with this reality about welfare. They have come to even narrow what welfare should mean, to simply mean salaries. Salary is not a welfare package. Salary is one of the items of the totality of welfare packages. So the conversation that organization, especially media organizations, should understand is when you're building business strategy, you know that in creating and saving money for for example, the equipment, you need the equipment to ensure that the processes are working, production is at top gear, and all the necessary tools that makes the equipment work are also in top gear because that brings you revenue. When you understand the connectivity between staff welfare in the sense of mentally alert staff members, mentally supportive staff members, staff members who come to the office who are always excited. As soon as they get to the gate of the office, they are feeling so excited and they want to contribute. When you marry that there's a relationship between productivity and the welfare of staff, when you understand that unique blend, that connectivity there, you will begin to invest in the welfare of your staff. Now, what do? We need to begin to consciously create policies. As a matter of fact, if my staff are actually listening here, if there are some of them are here, they will tell you that one of the things we have here at Mega FM is ensuring that staff welfare is catered for. Are you feeling okay? Do you have your mask? Are you having your sanitizer? What other issues do you have? Are you facing this problem? What about your mental health? What are they also part of this session that we have? Because there is just so much even I as an individual can do in my capacity. We need to expose them to so many training that helps them to get the support that they need. For example, I have been doing a lot of investigative stories into gender-based violence. You have no idea how draining mentally that has been for me. And then I had to go into the issue of child protection. You have no idea how much that has drained out of me. And now I'm following COVID-19 survivors. That also is draining me mentally. And then I have the nature of the entire workforce I have to manage as what I do here. Now, the point here is this. I have come to understand that personally, my mental strength, I don't joke with it, mental strength, once all of us begin to understand that your mental strength is your core responsibility, that nobody else is responsible for it, I think that change can begin to happen. And even as staff themselves can drive the conversation within staff meetings or brainstorming sessions that they have and say, hey, office, hey, management, can we look at this? Can we review this? Can we build this into our policies? So the policies must begin, and that's where the change can start from.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Really stark. I know you serve it hot, Lady E, and just thanks for going directly to the heart of this. So Bosede, in light of Lady E's response, right? And I know you talked about character, but I would confess to this. When previously I used to address people who commit suicide, right? I used to address them like, oh, you shouldn't do that. It's the worst thing you can do. But then if you step back, you would realize that truly people can become so helpless that they don't know the next thing to do, and then they are overwhelmed to where they feel like, you know what, this is too much. You have to either be so empathic to understand that level, right? So at times you're not really in charge. So how much does character, does being positive, does being happy, does being this, how much does it help me, withstand the stress that I face on my job or in my work environment? How much of that is that enough, right? Or is that 20% enough, right? How far can it go? Or how can I tap into that strength?
Okay, thank you. It's really very important.
I think you're on mute. Okay, yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, so workplace attitude, workplace character, workplace mental strength is very, very important. And just as you need to muster that strength from your own end, it would just be great if you also have an organization that's kind of create a support system. So much has been said by Nada on all of this. It's important to build, but you see, it's not a day's job. Character building, whether what you need to survive at home, at work, and the rest of them, will not be a day's job. It will begin with a decision to want to take it. And it's one journey that a lot of people do not want to take. A lot of times we wait until we are in a situation that appears helpless before we're trying to grapple and look for strength from everywhere. I would usually tell people that character development is something you should review. Nada was telling us about never being too busy to have time for yourself. A lot of the times, particularly as media people, we have so much to do. We hardly have time to stop and assess, stop and be aware, stop and think of us. And most of the time, it becomes too late. So before people get to points where they are feeling so down, they are thinking about ending it, and the rest of them, whatsoever jobs they do, there has been plenty of battering that must have happened on the inside. People around are also important. For instance, if you work in a newsroom where people look out for you, I remember working in Punch as so much as people talk about that organization in the bad light, I have some very, very good stories. I remember that there was a time that the management got a team of medical people to come, and then they did a check on some line managers, some line editors, and found out that their BPs were high. Like, and the next thing was they started asking each of them to go on leave. Please, mandatorily go on leave for 2 weeks, go on leave. So I know that that's one organization, just like Madam Ejiro that spoke earlier. She was saying that people will not do things except they know to do it. What you don't know, you don't know. So for many organizations, it may be out of lack of care outrightly for those that work for them. But for an organization like Punch, I also remember that there was a time after we moved to the new complex, that, and then eye test was conducted because we've been using laptops for so long and maybe they got feedbacks about something and the other. Eye specialists were brought in, everybody got tested, and those who required one treatment or the other were given. So that's so much. But I say this comes down to what the business model is and the attitude or character of the people who own the business or run the business. And then do they have the capacity in terms of finances? So before people get to that point where they feel down and out, a lot of things must have contributed to their current environment where they either work or live, or even family issues. I know that people don't go down on just one issue most times. It's either you are not having it good at work, and in addition to it, you don't have one, you can't go back home and have sanity. So if you have issues with your spouse and your job is also giving you problem, it's two issues already to handle. And so it means that when you feel beaten and battered in one area, you must always look for another area of your life that can give you that support that you need for that time. So try to look for a support system like we have been told before. So then building character generally is a deliberate thing that we all must say. From time to time, look at you and tell you, maybe you notice you have issues with anger, you take an anger class, anger management class. You don't have to wait until you have broken somebody's head and like, oh, there's a crisis. Oh no, this has always been my issue. So we need to be so concerned about who we are as individuals to a point where you can tell what your weaknesses are in character, you can tell what your strengths are. While you continue to build on your strength, you're also not letting your weakness remain, because they grow like baby mouse and then become monsters if we don't handle them. So no one gets there in one day, and no one is able to actually retract absolutely in one day. It will be a gradual process, whether the way up or the way down.
Yeah, thanks. Nader, thank you so much for that. That's really on point. It's an important topic, but we have very few time, right, to address it. And just 9 minutes to the end of the program. Nader, I want to direct this at you. You said something very important, and I just want you to drill more into it. A lot of people feel like, you know, if I'm stressed, I don't have enough, I need help. But you mentioned something that a lot of people have realized, and that is the power of giving yourself away. How much that does to you. A lot of people feel like I don't have, so I need. How does giving away, giving to a friend, giving to community, giving to a family member, how does that help you alleviate stress? How important is that?
It's crucial, because you need to get the positive feeling. You need to get the positivity from somewhere, somehow, someone. Right now, it's not you, so it has to be someone else. Unless you talk to the animals or to the walls, you know, it needs to be an object that doesn't talk to you, or it needs to be another form of life. But I have a feeling it needs to be another human being. The type of people that I like helping strangers, because when they thank you, it's just genuine thank. Sometimes when I help the same person over and over again, and this is pretty much when someone wants free help, that's what gets the person who's helping to lose some of the enthusiasm, when someone is being taken advantage of. And that normally happens in family. In my family and friends, they always call me. So family aside, if I want to help someone, like, that's when it gets tricky, when someone needs your help. But I want you to think about it when help someone. They didn't ask you for your help. So I want to clarify that. You go and just, because you want to help Michael, you go and help Michael. Michael doesn't want anything from you, you know, so something like that. But something else I just found the link, so I'll set it in the chat box. So this is a link to Nelson Mandela's biography. It's called Long Walk to Freedom. What I want you guys to learn is that instead of helping somebody, what if you're the only body, you know? What if you're the only one? What if you're in prison? What if you're an island? What if you're it? What if you're at home, your wife's coming home? Or what if you go back home 8 hours later? So in the next 8 hours, you're waiting for someone, or you go somewhere, you're just totally alone and you have these negative thoughts. So you want to really focus on having conversations with yourself, you know? So in the book, and you know, you can learn a lot about positive self-talk, but this is where you have conversations with yourself. It starts from your head, then it goes in your heart, then it becomes out loud. Like today I talk out loud, and a lot of people do. I've learned to do it, and it's from mantras to saying positive things. It's really, you gotta brag about yourself to yourself, you know? So just work on positive self-talk, positive mental attitude, but how you speak to yourself, and then begin writing it down. So get a journal, and the way you do it, you write your thoughts down. So you're giving it away, but right now you're giving it away on paper. You're not giving this away to someone yet, but this can be a book later. This can be your autobiography.
Thank you so much for that, Nader. And we want to stop right on 11 a.m. here. We respect your time. We respect the value you've invested into this. So we're going to stop. But Alaji, I see you on the call, and I think it's just good to have you. From the academic standpoint, Alaji Mudashir Ganiu is a senior lecturer in one of the community colleges in Nigeria. So how does and in just 1 minute, sir, does emotional or mental health come up even in our curriculum for journalists? Is that something built into the curriculum? Or how do we address it?
Unfortunately, it is not. It is not built into the curriculum. But I think every person must take responsibility for his own life. Psychology is an important course that every student should take, whatever course you are doing. It can be an elective. These are not even available in some of the schools. You can only take psychology in the universities if they are available as elective. But I think it's something that we should look into in the academics, building mental capacity into students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And 4 minutes to go. We have a lot of things to do, but I'm just going to stem it. We have one very important thing. One of the members in the audience has a son who's having his 15th birthday today, right? David Alabi, if you are there, the birthday coincides with today. So we're all just going to come off mute, and we're going to do something positive for someone today. And we're all going to sing happy birthday, right, for David Alabi's son. David Alabi, am I right? Right? You can come on mute. David Alabi, are you there?
David
Alabi,
yes, okay, but he's there.
Keep making
All
beautiful memories,
All right,
David
we're
Alabi.
just gonna sing happy birthday together. Just see how it makes you feel. So on my go, 1, 2, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
We wish
many happy birthday. Long life, prosperity. Hooray! Thank you very much. But I must confess, some of you need to take music classes. You just went off the tone. Some of you need to take music classes. So guys, this has been wonderful. I was gonna share. We're gonna send more in these items. We're gonna send them out to everyone in the email. We were going to talk about the Innovations Award. Please, if you're interested in participating in the Innovations Award, you need to tell us by email. We are going to get information about that later today. So 2 minutes down the line, we want to thank all the speakers. Nader, you did a great job. Thanks for that. All the contributors, Lady E, Mr. Lekon, our partners, and please keep connecting. Let's leverage all the resources we have on this platform. And the next program is going to come up next Wednesday, and I and 3 other people will be talking about actual tools that you can leverage to for innovation in the media industry. What I plan to do specifically in the next event is to show you, and let me see if I can quickly bring a picture on the screen. Give me just a second here. So just quickly, this is one of the things I'm going to be talking about next week. Can you see my screen? So money is very important, right? Money is very important. I did a research. In my research, putting this together, globally speaking, advertising drives the media, right? The reason we put out content is to advertise. There is $563 billion outside there in revenue for the global ad industry or media industry. And we did an analysis and saw that 6.4 billion is available to the Nigerian media. So take your eyes, listen to what the speakers have said today. You know, the exit point, just doing something for yourself. That's what we're going to focus on next week. How can you take advantage? How can you tap into this money? So next week Wednesday is another time you're going to get a calendar invite. We want you to join, and we'll just end the meeting here. So thanks everyone. Thanks for joining, and we'll meet again next week. Mr. If you want to come on and just say thank you to everyone. Nadam Owali, a round of applause. Lady E, Bukola Demile, David Alabi, happy birthday to your son. Olatunde, thanks very much. And this has come to an end. Thank you very much. We'll see you again. Thanks everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Hello.
Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Yeah. So thanks, Nadar. See you later. We'll send the contact information of all the speakers and the materials they presented to you. So be on the lookout for that. And you know, we'll send that to you. So be on the lookout next week. Next week we're talking about tools that you can leverage. We're talking about innovation tools that you can leverage for innovation. And I would say all of those interested in joining the Innovations Award should try to be part of that. So it's skills and outlook for the new media age, right? So how can you tap into these skills? That's what we're talking about next week. We hope to see you guys. All the audience, you've been great. Tofumi, Johnny Jebor, Fayefumi Nifemi, Nena, Enterprise CEO, Olatunde Adeniyi, thank you very much. Blessing Ijor, Abi Balawiye, thank you very much. Kende Adegboyega, I see you. Thank you very much. Tolu Olaisade, thank you very much. We'll see you again next week. If you have questions, feel free to send them to us via email. But after this meeting, we're going to send you all the meeting notes, all the materials, and a link to the video as well. So thanks, bye. Kende, bye. We'll see you next week. So invite your friends. Come prepared next week, right? And let's do this together. You guys have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for the birthday song. I truly appreciate.
Yep. You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
God bless you all.
Yeah.
Truly appreciate.
Yep.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
This session has been very, very resourceful.
Correct. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah.
Well done again, Nelson. See you at the other side.
Yeah, see you soon. Keep in touch. Yeah. Hey, Comfort, thank you very much for joining. Comfort Yakubu.
Okay, I've been having some little network problems today.
All right. All right.
Okay, so thank you. I think it went well, just like the previous ones. So we look forward to the links like the last time,
Yep.
so that people can take time to go and look back. I'm sure some people want to look at it after, and yes, so we can share.
Yeah, correct.
So thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll talk behind this
yeah.
thing and things like that.
Yeah.
And very soon we'll start sharing about the next one.
Correct. Correct.
So thank you, Nena. Thank you, Tofumi. Thank you, Bukola. Comfort Yakubu. Thank you for staying true. I see that you keep going. Thank you, Enterprise CEO. Thank you, David Alabi. Joel, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lekon.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you.
Hey, Joel, thank you.
Yeah.
We rounded up
Yeah.
7 a.m. on the dot.
Yes. Yes, it's always good to round up at time so that we don't.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you. We'll talk later.
Yeah, we'll talk later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you who are here. God
Yep.
bless you. Those of you who are Nigerians, drive home safely, get home safely.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.